I'm here with this amazing artist who is in the first in the line of a new line for us, DC Collectibles, and it is called DC Artist Alley. And I want to introduce, and I'm just going to call you Nooligan.
Nooligan.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's fine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it.
All right,
let's
cool.
do it. All right, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
number one, how did you get the nickname that you have?
Okay. Well, it's a funny story. We kind of went around. We kind of were coming up with like a pseudonym. My real name is HaiNaNu, which I find not to be the best to remember or spell. So it's really so we kind of went by something more easy. My nickname is New. And then like my stuff kind of has, my real art has a lot of baseball bats, so it's kind of like more of a hooligan, so we went with Nooligan. So
yeah, funny that you say that. Every time I write an email about him or write copy, because I'm in marketing, it always autocorrects to hooligan. So we always have to really watch that. And we watch him too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a wily guy.
Oh, I try.
So did you get to pick the Joker, Harley? I mean, like, did you get to pick the characters you...
No. They kind of picked the characters that I did, and I was fortunate enough to be involved with a bookends that had the same characters that are coming out this coming November holiday season. I have a bookends that's Harley Quinn, Joker, and Batman as well.
Oh,
so
nice.
so that's going to be out soon, and then they kind of gave me the same characters to kind of work with for this line, which is super cool. So I love how they all came out, and then like Paul Harding, which is the sculptor on there, did a great job of capturing like my art and everything. So it's So
I think that's one of the things about this line. If you haven't checked them out already, afterwards, I mean, you can see that one, but actually you'll see with the sketch, it's amazing how they completely brought that vision into 3D form. I mean, some of them I thought were just going to be impossible. Like for instance, I think your Joker, at first I'm like, how can he stand up with such little ankles and such beautiful calves, you know?
Yeah, totally. And then that was one of the biggest worries when we were developing him is are they going to be able to pull that off? And I think they thickened them up a little bit because they're like, we're probably going to have to make them thicker because it looks like they're not going to stand up. But yeah, they still looks exactly the same. So it's super cool.
That's the magic of DC Collectibles. The men and women behind that line are absolutely a joy to work with, as you probably can attest to, and they just make beautiful, wonderful things.
Totally.
So let's talk about your process, because we're watching it right now. I mean, you're a pretty quick sketcher. Did you start drawing? Are you a painter? Are you a designer? What's your number one trade?
I'm I ended up kind of being more of a character designer. I started out kind of trying to be a comic book artist, kind of like based off of like the J. Scott Campbells, the Jim Lees, the Joe Mads, and then that's kind of what I was trying to be. And then I kind of, it's a struggle to try to draw like those guys. They're so great, and it's so hard to mimic that situation. So I ended up kind of going backwards and seeing that I was more of an animator at heart, kind of. So I started moving my character designs and my influence to more animation, which kind of led to having what I do now, So, and that's kind of like where I'm at now. I would like to do more cartoony, animated, and character design. So
yeah, because I think that your stuff is really expressive. It's pretty exaggerated, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's cool. Yeah, it's definitely like a unique thing, and I bet that'll be overused when talking about you, but it's a beautiful thing to be said. So yeah, that's. I love how that looks. So I was, stalking you on Facebook and the internet before I got on here with you.
Cool. Yeah.
And I saw that, even from looking at the statues, you probably don't even have to stalk him, but you have a very contemporary style, but you also have this very throwback style.
Yeah.
So how do you put both in one place?
Well, and that's the thing is when I was getting inspired by certain things, especially when I started developing something like this, it was a lot of it was a throwback to old cartoons that I was inspired by when I was younger, and so like putting all that in there and then inspired by all the past. So everything I've done was kind of based on early Americana stuff, a lot of 50s, 30s, and kind of trying to make it more kind of postmodern, kind of thing, and trying to make it more fresh and cool for like a more modern day based on this inspiration of old stuff. So, and that's kind of where the whole thing kind of came about, so.
I love it. I mean, I think you guys probably all do. Does anyone have a question? Just to kind of mix it up, if you're interested. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
Hold on, I'm coming to you.
If you could you said you were kind of pushed into doing particular characters, or that you like making comics. If you had like a dream or a comic you'd really like to be involved in, like what would it be?
A comic book?
Yeah.
So, you know, I have this kind of I have a dream of kind of doing. I'm right now currently I'm really into Damian Wayne and Jonathan Kent. I'm really into those characters, and I would love to be able to do something with them eventually. I have this really kind of cool idea to use them as little leaguers and kind of like make this whole kind of baseball thing around Jonathan and Damian. And that's, if I was able to do something with DC around that, it would be something like that. Because I really like those characters. I think they're super fun, and the fact that they're both there and they kind of, you get to relive Batman, Superman's first thing together and relive that again with Damian and Jonathan. I think it's awesome, and I would love to be able to do something like that. So.
Thanks for the question. That's awesome. So I have a question.
Yeah.
When it comes to like the characters that, for DC, I mean, you've always liked DC, yeah?
Yeah, I love DC.
So how did they find you, or you found them?
And I think like what you were saying earlier, it is a lot of just kind of putting myself out there, being in this great show and everything, and then they came across me by having some artwork of the Joker and of Harley, and it kind of, so they were able to see what I was able to do with them prior to like working with me, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, they really did find you in Artist Alley. So
yeah, totally.
That's great. I'm glad it's not just the namesake. It's real.
Yeah, totally,
it's real.
totally. Yeah, and I think that's just got to put yourself out there and kind of see what happens. You know?
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. And it's a lot of work. I mean, Artist Alley, you guys are up there doing the grind all the time, and I know a lot of artists that go to every show. They're constantly out there putting themselves out there. So congratulations on being part of this amazing program.
I'm just happy to be here. Like, it's cool that I'm able to even do this, and it's super exciting, and it's like a dream come true to be a part of DC Comics and everything. So
do you like vinyl toys? I mean, are you a collector? Did you like that?
I'm more of a book guy, so I read a lot of comics and stuff. I do enjoy the vinyl toys, and I'm like, and it's super cool because I don't know if my style really lends to that much of an editorial base. But like for a 3D or animated thing, I think that's kind of like where it kind of looks the best, you know. And I felt like when I saw it in 3D, it was like, oh man, it's worked so well, and I had no idea, you know.
Yeah. So these characters kind of already obviously have a big history.
Yeah.
A lot of story behind them. Do you think of your own story when you're drawing Joker for say? Do you have like a background story or a story that complements him?
Well, you know, when I'm redesigning them and they have their own, they're obviously, when I'm redesigning them and they have their own kind of version of how I'm imagining, I am imagining why he's dressed the way he is and stuff like that. And it's kind of now, and during this time, what would he be doing based on this the way he looks, you know? And then I kind of develop my own like little things based off of that, you know. So,
nice.
Sorry.
Does anyone else have a question? Anyone interested in finding out what, why, how any of this works? Whether it's the actual toy, Nooligan. I have a question for you guys. You have a question? Kidding. Let's see. We can think of other things to talk about, Nooligan. What do you want to talk about?
Whatever you want to ask me. I'm here for you guys.
Out of the three that you designed for, did you enjoy one more than the others?
You know, the thing is, like, I've been drawing the Joker kind of this way because this is how I like to draw him. So I've been doing it like this. So like for him, it came super easy. I kind of did this pose. The pose that you see here is kind of what I did. Like one of the first designs I did was that one, and then luckily I was able to pull it out because he was the easiest for me to kind of do. So Batman on the other hand was a little bit more difficult. There's so many different versions of him that it makes it a little bit harder to kind of come up with something more unique when there's so many things to compete with. So he was a little bit more difficult, but I feel like I have a version of the Joker that's super cool, that kind of works with me, and same with Harley. Like the Harley Quinn that I designed is a throwback to like also another baseball thing where it's Harley's doing the call the shot from Babe Ruth from the Yankees game and stuff like that, where he called the shot, and it's a throwback to that to kind of give it some kind of attitude and a more fun, and kind of like with the whole New York thing, and I tried to throw that in there to make it more of a kind of a story piece, you know.
Yeah.
So and they both came out super well. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Do you like baseball?
Well, you know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a baseball player. So and then I was pretty good, and then I ended up kind of going the art realm, and then so I do love baseball. I don't watch it as much anymore, but I do have a lot of respect for the history of baseball and everything that kind of went on with it from the very beginning to where it is now.
So who's your team?
You know, I was talking to somebody earlier, and when I first was introduced, like when I was a kid, I went to an Oakland A's game, and I got a Ricky Henderson home run baseball from a leadoff.
Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, so I'm an A's guy. So since I was a kid, so
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I only know of him because of a comedy sketch, but I hear he's a really good baseball player.
Right.
So, what's next in your life? What are you going to be doing? Are you working more?
You know, I'm kind of just doing my thing. I'm going around promoting. I'm helping promote this, and I'm kind of you know, I'm going with the flow and trying to see where everything goes. And I'm like I said, I don't really kind of just have. When things aren't going, I'll make something else up to do and kind of go with it. But I'm just here to kind of go with everything, you know, and help out.
So I just want to remind you guys that this line starts next summer 2018. So if you come back, most likely you'll be able to buy them from various vendors. But one thing you can do is get them pre-ordered and make sure that you get them, because they will be limited. It's very important to us that they aren't just kind of out there in, you know, hundreds of billions. We want them to be special, and we want them to be as unique as their visions. So again, summer 2018, pre-order now with your favorite retailer.
Yeah, and then also the bookends are going to be out this coming holiday season, which are through DC Collectibles as well. And then and those are up for pre-order, and then you can kind of also check them out and get pre-orders as well. They'll be out for holiday season.
Yeah,
so,
artist and marketeur. I thank you so much. I should have known that on my...
Oh, no, it's all good. I kind of just...
All right, well, it looks like we're about to wrap up, and we're going to give this away. And I need to figure a really, fun way of trying to get this out to one lucky person. And usually that should be via trivia. Let's see. Oh, so it's gonna be really random. I'm gonna see. Does anyone here know where he is based out of? No, where he is based, where he lives. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding.
From Sacktown, what?
Yeah, have to look that up on the internet. Yeah.
I think this is good to go. So
no, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you all for coming. Remember, DC Artist Alley is coming out summer 2018. Nooligan's Joker will be one of the first, I think, or the first of the three. The second. Sorry, the second. Second wave. But summer next year. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great convention.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.